so 4.5, we're now solving equations. So this is now taking all our skills we've learned from simplifying and applying it to an equation. What's the difference between an expression and an equation? Equation has an equal sign. Yeah, it equals something. So it has an equal sign. Can you guys hear me okay? Is that better? Okay. So let's try a problem. When dividing 6 by a number and then adding the result to its reciprocal, I get 5 over 2. What is my number? Okay, so how do we represent dividing 6 by a number? 6 over, what do you want to call the number? X, sure. So 6 over x, dividing 6 by a number would be 6 divided by x. And then I add the result to its reciprocal. So what would be the reciprocal of 6 over x? X over 6. I get 5 over 2. You know, back in when we were in grade 10, we simplified these by getting rid of the fraction. If we get rid of the fraction, it's always a lot easier to solve. So how do we get rid of the fraction? We multiply everybody by the lowest common denominator. So here, let's first look at the numbers. 2 and 6, lowest common multiple of 2 and 6. 6, right? We want the number that they'll both go into. And then we have an x. So we're going to multiply everybody by 6x. Maybe I'll write it in a new line. So you're going to take 6x times 6 over x plus 6x times x over 6 equals 6x times 5 over 2. What will this do? It will get rid of our fraction. Okay, what happens when we multiply 6x by 6 divided by x? Does anything cancel out? The x's, one's on the numerator, one's on the denominator. So our x's cancel out. Maybe I'll use red. Show that canceling. So we're just left with 6 times 6, or 6 times 6, 36. Okay, plus, what cancels out here now? The 6's, so we're left with x times x, which equals x squared. And then now we have 6x times 5 over 2. So can we reduce the 2 with something? With the 6. Say reduce, we can divide both by 2, so we get 6 divided by 2 is 3, and this is just a 1. So 3x times 5 is 15x. How do we solve an equation with a quadratic in it? We spent 2 units doing this last year, right? How do we solve x squareds? Make one side 0. Bring everything to one side. And if the x squared's positive here, let's bring it to the side with a positive x squared. Let's keep it positive. So how do I move 15x over? Subtract 15x. Is there another x term here? No, so we'll just write it as x squared, then the minus 15x plus 36. We always go highest degree to lowest. Do we know how to factor these guys? It's a simple trinomial. 2 numbers left. Multiply to 36 and add to the middle, right? Add to the middle, multiply to the last. Okay, how can we multiply to 36? 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12. Does that give it to us? Yeah? What do we know about the signs of 3 and 12? One of them, we're adding to, let's look, we're adding to a negative 15 multiplying to positive. Both negative. Okay, so we get x minus 3 and x minus 12. So our solution is x is equal to no, remember opposite sign, 3 or 12. So there's 2 numbers that would work. And you can check this in your calculator. So if I could try with 3, 6 over 3 plus 3 over 6, does that equal 2.5? Yeah. Or 6 over 12 plus 12 over 6, that also equals 2.5. So two possible solutions, right? 5 over 2 is 2.5. Because 5 over 2 is 2.5. Yeah. That's like the type of questions where, yeah, well, that's hard because you had to make the equation. It'd be easy if you were given the formula. On your diploma exam, you won't be asked to make the formula and solve. You'll either be asked to just solve, and they'll give you the formula in a word problem, or in a word problem, you're just making the formula. That's it. Well, they want us to put, and then they put it dash 1 for they would give you a word problem, you have to actually make the formula and solve it. So if I asked you, okay, which formula as multiple choice would work for this? And this would be the answer then, just right here. Okay? 12. 28 multiple choice, 12 numerical response. And that's it. That's your diploma, 50% of your grade. Okay? Okay, Ashley. Okay, so key ideas. You can solve a rational equation algebraically by multiplying each term by the lowest common denominator. I'm actually going to show you two methods today, but that's one of the methods we're going to look at. And that eliminates the fraction, and then we can just solve. So we can always verify our solution by substituting, because we're actually going to get an answer. X equals this, right? So we can always verify our solution. So let's look at this problem. Now there's two ways I'm going to show you, two methods I'm going to show you to solve this. Because, and then I want you to just keep using the method that you were like that. So method one, just like the good old days, we start by factoring. Is there anything we can factor here? Yeah, the 5 out of 5x minus 25. So we have 3 over x minus 5 equals 10 over 5 times x minus 5. Okay. So we want to get rid of the fraction. So we want to multiply both terms by the lowest common denominator. So all we got to do to figure that out is make sure everybody on the denominator is represented. So what would be the lowest common denominator here? X minus 5, and what else is on the denominator? A 5. So we're going to multiply both sides by 5 times x minus 5. Well, we could have simplified this, but that's okay. So we multiply both sides by the lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator would be 5 times x minus 5. We're going to multiply everybody by 5 times x minus 5. Well, yeah, well, I'll show you two methods, Jesse. And you can decide which one you like better, okay? Okay, so then what you'll notice, things will automatically cancel when we do that. That's where our goal is to get rid of the denominator. So what cancels here? X minus 5's cancel. What cancels on this side? X minus 5 and the 5. Okay, so that gets rid of the denominator. So now we're left with, on the numerator, 5 times 3, which is 15, equals, what's left over here? 10. Is that true? Is 15 equal 10? No, so there's no solution to this problem. If you get a number equals a different number, then there's no solution. So basically, there was no solution to this. No values of x. That is a legitimate answer. That will happen sometimes. Correct. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you. It would be a multiple choice, most likely. Okay. So let's try this one with that method 1. So what would be the lowest common denominator? What would I have to multiply everybody by? A 3x, would that be big enough? Would that cancel out the 6? No. So it would be 6x. So that would be our lowest. So we're going to multiply everybody by 6x. So we're going to multiply the 1 over x by 6x, the 1 over 3x by 6x, and, okay guys, who's talking? No, I'm not the only one. We're going to have no seating plan. We have to pay attention during the lesson, right? Okay, so what cancels on this side here? The x's. So that gives us 6 times 1, or just 6. You're still writing? Sorry, slow down. Getting this down? Mentally? Okay, 6x. Okay, what can reduce here? What can cancel first off? The x's cancel, and what can we divide both those by? 3. So we're left with 1 and 2. 2 times 1? It's just a 2. Plus 2 equals? What cancels here? 6. Just x. So 8 equals x. We should always check our answer here in these ones. So how do we check? We just plug into the original. And you can use your calculator to help verify. So 1 over, what's my x? 8 plus 1 over 3 times 8, or what's 3 times 8? 24 has to equal 1 over 6. Let's check that in our calculator. 1 over 6 plus 1 over 8. Thank you. 6 plus 2. We're checking the original. So we're plugging our answer. We got 8, x equals 8. So I want to do a check. So I'm plugging in my solution to just check my answer. So 1 over our x is 8, plus 3 times 8 is 24. And that should equal 1 over 6, so I'm just going to check that. Go enter, and go math, enter, enter. So that equals 1 over 6, so that's true. So that's our answer. X is 6. Okay? Or 8, thank you. X is 8. All right, so that's method 1. Method 2 is basically just using the skills that you know now and cross multiplying. Okay, and either method's fine. And then you're going to tell me which one you like better and which one's easier. So method 2, we have to have, in order to cross multiply, we have to always have a fraction equal a fraction, right? A over B has to equal C over D. Only when two ratios equal each other can we actually cross multiply. And then we get A times D equals B times C. Do you remember doing that back in the day? Divide 2 over 4 equals x over 7. How would I cross multiply? 2 times 7 equals 4 times x. So 14 equals 4x, and then we would divide by 4. Okay, that's cross multiplying. So in method 2, we have to have a fraction equal a fraction. So how do I turn 1 into a fraction? 1 over 1. Okay, we can factor first if you want to, because we maybe can simplify things. Do you want to try factoring? Doesn't matter. Yes. Okay. So what can we factor to the numerator? A 2, which gives us y minus 3. And we can factor a 4 out of the bottom, which gives us y minus 2. Can we simplify anything here? 1 over 2. So these guys can reduce. So we are left with just on the numerator a y minus 3 divided by 2 times y minus 2 equals 1 over 1. So we're going to cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. We can only do this if you have a fraction equals a fraction. Okay, so 1 times y minus 3, y minus 3. 2 times y minus 2 times 1, again, just 2 times y minus 2. So we're going to simplify now and solve. When we do that, we get rid of the fraction. So we can just simplify and solve. But what can we simplify here? Ready? Not yet. We do first. Distribution law. We have to get rid of the brackets. So we have y minus 3 equals 2y minus 4. Now what? We want to get y to one side because it's only a linear equation. So you're going to take 2y over here, sure, and minus 2y gives that. What's y minus 2y? Negative y, and then we have minus 3 equals negative 4. Now what? No, we want to bring the, it's linear, right? We're going to just y by itself. We want to move the 3 now. So plus 3. Negative y equals negative 1. But we want positive y. How do we get rid of the negative? Times by negative 1, and we get y equals 1. So as long as, we should list our MPVs, because you can kind of avoid your check, because as long as your value that you get for your answer is not a non-permissible value, that's your solution. What were our non-permissible values here? Just our denominator. What is it? Y can't be 2. Did we get y answer 2? No? And so right away we know that, okay, you can plug it into your calculator still to check your answer, but as long as it's not a non-permissible value, that is your solution. Okay? So how do we use the same method of cross multiplication when we have addition or subtraction? Well, did we just learn how to add and subtract? Yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to subtract these two. How do we subtract fractions? We get, what do we want to make? Common denominator. So what's this guy missing that the other guy has? Y plus 1. Y plus 1. So you're going to multiply top and bottom by y plus 1. This guy's missing the y plus 1. Oh, thank you. I don't know why I'm saying y. X plus 1. Thank you. Yep. And really, really warm. Is anyone really, really warm? I feel like I'm having a hot flash. It's hard to concentrate. So warm. Take the photo. Okay, minus. What's this guy missing? Not a y. It's actually what letter? An x. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by x. Guys, with me? This is a, I don't know. This is a tough lesson.
I like the first method better already.
Yeah? Okay, well, we'll just stick to that method then after this. But let's finish this one. Okay, so simplifying, this is all over x times x plus 1. Right? We can now subtract that we have a common denominator. So what's our numerator going to be? If you have x plus 1 minus x. We have x plus 1 minus x. It's just a plus 1. So now that we have a fraction equaling a fraction, can we cross multiply? Now that you have a fraction equal a fraction, can you cross multiply? Yes. Okay, 1 times 6. 6. 1 times x plus 1. Again, is just x times x plus 1. Get rid of the brackets. Okay, we'll use the other one from now on. X squared plus x. Now, whenever we have an x squared, how do we solve the x squared problem? No, not if it, unless you just have x squared equals a number. Bring everything, yeah, Jesse. Factor. Bring it to the other side. One side should be equal to 0. Okay, so that's how we solve quadratic problems, is we factor. If we can't factor, that's when we use quadratic formula. Two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to positive 1. Negative 3 and, no, that won't be it. Can't be a negative 3, positive 2. It has to be a positive 3, negative 2 to add to 1. So what's our solution? X is -3 and +2. Going back to our MPVs, are those MPVs? No, MPVs are 0 and -1, so those are our solutions. Okay, if one of those was a non-permissible value, you'd have to cancel out. We call it extraneous.
I have a question on number B, letter B.
Okay.
Can you go back up?
Yeah.
We times everything by 6x. How do you know you're supposed to do it by 6x, not just like 6x, 3x?
It's a lowest common denominator. So when you have numbers, you just look at, okay, 3, 6, lowest common multiple of 3 and 6 is 6. And then we have an x. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this guy using that first method you like better. Okay, all right. I didn't know which one you'd like better, so I needed to find out.
Whichever one has less rating.
I don't know which one has less rating.
Yeah, obviously.
The first one I think does have less rating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It makes more sense.
Okay, good. So we're sticking that. Okay, first up is the factor, so we can find out what the lowest common denominator is. What can we factor? X squared minus 9 becomes x minus 3 and x plus 3. Good. Equals 1 over 5. So basically, to figure out the lowest common denominator, we need to have everybody on the denominators represented. So everybody has to be represented. So what's on our denominators? What do we have? An x minus 3. What else? An x plus 3. And a 5. So that's going to be our lowest common denominator. So what are we going to do with that guy? Every single one of them, we're multiplying it by that guy. Okay? Now you guys, some of you can jump, because right away you can figure out what's going to cancel. Right? So the first one, what's going to cancel? The x minus 3. So we'll just be left with 5 times x plus 3. What's going to cancel from this guy? The x minus 3 and the x plus 3. So we'll just have 6 times 5. What's going to cancel from... 1 second. Infinite clone. So I'm multiplying each one of these by this guy, right? Each one of these. So this guy, we can tell, this will be gone. Stacey, are you with me? So we're multiplying each one by our lowest common denominator. You're not with me? No? Okay, so we're multiplying each one with 5 times x minus 3x plus. Did you see how I got this? No. So you need to represent each guy on the denominators once. So we have an x minus 3, we have an x plus 3, and we have a 5. That's how we get that number. Okay? So then, here, I'll just do this. I'll write the extra step. Okay. So each one of these, you're going to multiply by your lowest common denominator. You guys getting this down? Okay. So we're multiplying 5 times x minus 3, x plus 3, and there's also a 6 on the numerator, all over the x minus 3, x plus 3. I'm running out of room. Okay, 1 second. I need to move some stuff. Oh yeah, I can just erase it. Does everyone have that question down?
Yeah.
Okay, this one over here should by now. Okay, girls, you're talking during the lesson. If I have to ask again, then we're back in the seating plan. Okay, and then again, this guy 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. Some of you are going to be able to go straight times 1 over 5. Straight from this step to the next, this down here, okay? Because you'll see right away who's going to cancel here? The x minus 3's. So we'll just be left with 5 times x plus 3. What cancels here? X plus 3 and x minus 3. So we're left with 5 times 6 or minus minus what? Jody, can you not do that right now? 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, what cancels here? The 5, so we're left with x minus 3 and x plus 3. Okay, so we need to simplify this guy. I see something? Okay, that's okay. Okay, so 5 times, oh, there you go. 5 times x plus 3, distributive law, what does that become? 5x plus 15 minus 30. We have to FOIL here. So x times x squared plus 3x, then negative 3 times x, negative 3x, and then negative 3 times positive 3. Nope, times, negative 3 times positive 3. Negative 9. Okay, if we have an x squared, everything has to be on one side. No. Okay, 15 minus 30. We're almost done, guys, for today's lesson. 15 minus 30. We can simplify that to what? Minus 15. 3, what happens here? They cancel. So just minus 9. Everything else, should I get you to solve this rest on your own?
Yes.
Okay, it's not that hard. Finish the rest on your own. Put everything onto one side, factor. Right? Putting everything to the side of the x squared. I'm just going to write that step, that's all. Bring everything to one side before you can factor. Right there. There isn't one on the left, just on the right. So bring everything. So I'm moving this guy and this guy because I want one side to 0. So to move a positive 5x, I subtract 5x. Move a minus 15, we add 15 to both sides. Only if it's just an x, but because it's a square, only if it's a linear, right? But it's not, it's degree 2. It's quadratic. Multiplies to positive 6, add to negative 5. Negative 3 and negative 2. So x equals 3 and 2. Is there any problems with any of these answers? We have to go back. What were our non-permissible values? Sorry, what were our non-permissible values? Looking back to the original, 3 and negative 3. So x can't be positive or negative 3, so we have to reject 2. Well, since x can't be a positive or a negative 3, then we have to reject the positive 3. It's a non-permissible value. And he's called extraneous. You might have heard that word before. Extraneous. Okay. So if you can open up, that's today's notes. Okay. Can you open up to your new booklet I handed you? So your homework comes from, probably over here, 4.5 part 1 homework. Okay? So your homework, guys, all of 2, all of 3. Let's do 4A and C. Guys, listen up. Team, do you want to know the homework? Okay, so your homework is all of 2, all of 3. Oops, too far. All of 2 and all of 3. Make sure you check your MPVs, right? I said 4 A and C. 5, let's do A and C. Now it says 2 different methods. It tells you one method, and then other time use the cross multiplication method. Use whatever method you like and stick to it only, okay? So you can ignore those instructions. 6, let's do A and C. 6 A and C, and then I believe the rest you can just wait. 7, yeah. 8. Why not? I know, but you need to practice. Okay, we'll omit 7, but you can do 8. And you can omit 9. Okay, so just number 8 on that page. And then let's do 10A
No point for multiple choice.
and 10A. Okay, you're right. And 10A. Okay, well, if you get practicing, it'll go really fast. Okay? And 10A. The answers are, the worked out answers are on the website. Okay? We have a half an hour, guys, to start working on homework. Let me just turn this off. 1 sec.